Good evening, wrestling fans. Welcome to Evolution of Pro Wrestling. I'm Lewis and this is Jay, and we got a hell of a topic for you today, a hell of a show. There's a lot to cover today in this show. This has been a dark week for professional wrestling. So many things have happened in professional wrestling today, and it's sad the way everything is going. First off, the Evolution family would like to give our sincere condolences to Howard Finkel and his family. He passed away yesterday at the age of 69. Howard Finkel was to me, by far, the greatest ring announcer of all time.
Yes.
You know, the man can do it all in the ring when it comes to ring announcing and just getting that crowd out when you win, the new. So it's amazing how things like that go. Then you have almost 30 workers from the WWE released a couple of days ago. And I'm talking about wrestlers, a lot of wrestlers, yes. Like Heath Slater, Kurt Angle, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Mary and Mike Kanellis. You had Rusev, out of all people. Rusev, it was just, wow. No, sir, Mr. Brown, we did not see the tweet from Vicky Guerrero. So many Mike Chioda, he's a referee. The man was with the company for 32 years, and they let him go. This is a full-scale cleanup that's happening.
That's crazy.
In professional wrestling. It's just terrible of everything that's going on right now. But that's why we're here. We're here to bring you the action. We're here to bring you a nice, awesome discussion of professional wrestling. And it's what are we going to do next?
Right.
What's up our sleeve? And we're going to talk about that later on towards the end of the show. Yep. Jaden, tell them what our topic is today.
Oh, yes. Today's topic is an absolutely amazing topic. Today we're going to be talking about the highest ranked and the lowest ranked WWE champion, or not even WWE
the best and the worst champions of all time.
Yeah,
whether it's
exactly.
Intercontinental, Tag Team, United States, Heavyweight, whatever. That's what we're putting on today.
Anything you can name, any champion you can name. It goes from, WWE title to the lowest title, tag team title, any title. It's all about titles. So, when you're a title winner, that basically means that you earn your place, in the actual WWE. That means you'll probably get respect from other people. And it really doesn't matter what title, but as long as you win a title, I feel like you will get a lot of respect in the industry just for winning a title and just for proving yourself that you got to win a title. Now, one person that I think is a great title holder right off the back is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho was an amazing title holder. I love the way he held the title. He held the World Heavyweight title as a really good person, and he held a few more titles as a good person. What makes a good champion is basically, it's kind of hard to explain.
Pretty much defending your title at all costs. No matter what it is. You
have to defend your title right away. You have to defend it, make sure no one takes it, make sure you don't get ambushed, you have to especially be careful with the people that have Money in the Bank briefcases, especially once you get out of a match. So, just like those people, that's what makes a good champion. If you have to pin them while they're down to get the Money in the Bank, then you already know that's kind of a crappy move. But, there's a lot of great champions on here, and we're going to get to that topic. So
no, absolutely.
What champion right off the back do you think is a good champion without question at all?
I would have to say, wow, that's a tough call. There's so many, but I would have to say CM Punk.
Oh yeah,
CM Punk was WWE champion over 400 and some odd days. The man defended the title religiously on every pay-per-view that you can imagine. I think the way they had him lose the title, no offense to The Rock. Like The Rock is an excellent superstar, but I don't think he should have won the title from CM Punk.
So what you're saying is that he should have won it from someone else.
He should have not won it, period.
Why not?
Because, The Rock was away from wrestling for how long? He was doing movies. He was doing commercials. He was doing shows.
But that was
and
I think to him, that was probably a way to get himself back on the board, get himself back on there, to get his publicity back up, to get that pop again, like how he did when he became The Rock instead of Rocky Johnson.
Yeah, but he was still famous.
I mean,
why are you going to come in, and steal the spotlight from CM Punk? CM Punk was an excellent champion. If anybody was going to beat him, which many people might disagree, I think Ryback should have beat him.
Yeah, Ryback.
They gave him a push. They gave him a push, and then all of a sudden, boom! They destroyed it.
They destroyed it. You went from Ryback to Ryback, so that doesn't go. Like Ryback is a one man.
Well, Christopher Brown says that one of the best IC champions of all time is Chris Jericho, Intercontinental Champion.
Yes.
Of course, the man was one of the greatest. I gotta admit that, but to me, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time was. I would have to say either the Honky Tonk Man or The Miz.
Yeah.
Because The Miz won the title 7 times.
7, yes.
And
he did good with the title. He carried it. He made sure no one took his title. There was certain times where, the WWE would be like, it's time to give the title away. But then once he gave the title away, he would just win it right back again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would just regain the title. Like, like he's used to this, like he's blood and sweat for winning this IC title. So, yeah, I think The Miz is one of the great IC title holders in this WWE.
Well, Luis Rosado says Tatanka. He says Tatanka. Well, Tatanka really wasn't a champion, Luis. So he was pretty good superstar, a mid-card guy, but he never really won a world title, Intercontinental, or anything. So, to me, by far the worst champion ever, and I'm going to say this with great emphasis, Brock Lesnar. I'm sorry. You got a part-time champion. I'm glad Drew McIntyre beat him.
Yes.
I just wish it could have been in front of a crowd, and it would have been worse. He would have been pissed. He would have heard the crowd, and it was just having that man as a part-time champion. It's terrible. It's terrible. It was so bad to watch. Like, you didn't have a full-time champion on Monday Night Raw.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what kills me the most, that when it came to that situation, he's getting paid big bucks. He's Vince McMahon's guy. So what? Pave the way for other people.
Right. Let other people get a chance. There's other, I'm not trying to bring him out there, but there's better talent than Brock Lesnar.
Absolutely.
Think about it. There's better talent than Brock Lesnar out there in these industries. So it's time to give other people a chance. Stop giving him the title all the time just because of that.
Because of the money. Because of the money.
That's what I'm saying.
That's how it goes. Now, when we talk about stuff like that, Brock Lesnar, I admit, he was an excellent champion back then when he was able to wrestle. Now,
instead of the Suplex City and just an F5 and that's it.
Yeah,
that's not it.
It just wasn't right. It just wasn't right. There was many superstars that needed to win that title at all costs. Right. But Vince McMahon, the man that he is, always about entertainment and stuff like that. We didn't enjoy it.
Right.
Like, why are you gonna come out and put this man, give him a title, and then you won't see him for like 2-3 months? Seriously? That's why the ratings were down as they were on Monday Night Raw, because you did not have a champion. Luis Rosado says, hell yeah, it's not championship material. He's not bad, but not a champion. Yep, you're right. Tatanka was not bad, but he was not a champion. Brian, what's up? Welcome to the show, brother. We know you make it. Christopher Brown says, the problem with Lesnar is that he doesn't care to remain a technical mat technician. They want Lesnar to be some sort of ecological. Well, I'm sorry, I can't even say this word.
What is it?
Ecological. Ego, pretty much an egomaniac.
Yeah.
To show off. Absolutely. And I completely agree. The man always got into problems with people in the back. He didn't know what he was doing, and it's like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Luis Rosado says WWE always has the same guys on top when they really have good superstars backstage. Exactly. That's my point. When you keep having Brock Lesnar as champion, you're not paving the way for other superstars to go. Which, when you talk about a good champion, you got another one. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a fighting champion from 1984 on in the WWE. The man defended his title against King Kong Bundy, Magnificent Morocco, Terry Funk, Andre the Giant, many other names. You can keep going, but with Hulk Hogan, he actually passed the torch.
He passed the torch for a lot of guys, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan did a lot for these guys. He passed the torch a lot for these guys. He paved the way for WWE, especially since he was a big title holder and he was an amazing title holder. So he paved the way for a lot of people. He paved the way for WWE itself. He paved the way for the company, the whole generation of the company. So you got to give Hulk Hogan props for being a great title holder, because the work that this guy did as a title holder and a wrestler alone, it was amazing. Hulk Hogan used to put on shows, that crazy leg drop he had, hyping up the crowd, especially champion. That was just amazing.
Yeah, he was an amazing champion. He was an amazing champion. You know what I mean? Luis Rosado said that Razor Ramon, another great champion, was Razor Ramon. Scott Hall. You mentioned Scott Hall. He was the Intercontinental Champion. He was an excellent Intercontinental Champion. He was a tag team champion in WCW, also with the Outsiders. So he made a name for himself. Christopher Brown says another reason they've had Lesnar on top so long, Lewis, is that Vince doesn't want anyone in that locker room to get as big as Hogan, Cena, The Rock out of misguided fear. They'll leave the business in the lurch and stop making him a ton of money. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put it past him if that is the case.
So wait a minute. Explain this to me, because I'm kind of confused on what to.
Okay, so Hulk Hogan was by far, to me and to many other people, the biggest superstar of all time. People say The Rock, people say Stone Cold, people say John Cena. So it's tough to call when you are going through a situation like that and you're seeing a person with this iconic energy with the fans. That's what's going on. That you're not paving the way for other people. You're not bringing anything to the table. So that's pretty much what he's trying to say. No one can ever duplicate what Hulk Hogan did. Nobody can duplicate what The Rock did, or Stone Cold, or John Cena for that matter. But that makes no sense to me. It's like you gotta pave the way for everybody. Give them that shot. Brian says, did you guys see the new Rock Attitude Style World Championship belt that was never shown during the Attitude Era? It's on sale on WWE Shop. No, we haven't. But they mentioned about that when he had the Brahma Bull Championship match. And speaking of The Rock was another great champion. He was an Intercontinental Champion. He was WWE Champion. The man was a phenomenal athlete in the ring.
Yes,
the man, listen, he wasn't called the most electrifying man for no reason.
Right.
He won great titles. He did what he had to do, and that's what needed to be done.
Right.
And when you mention other champions, what do you think of the perspective of the Macho Man? Best or worst champion?
Macho Man, definitely. I think he was a good champion. Macho Man defended his champion in the right way. Took on the likes of old guys such as Hulk Hogan himself, and many other more wrestlers in this business. So I gotta say that Hulk Hogan wasn't not Hulk Hogan. I'm so sorry. Macho Man was not a lazy champion. He was a great champion. He carried his champion the right way. I think he was also one of the guys that probably paved the way or passed the torch on to other wrestlers, because that's how good Macho Man was. He was a heavy set. He was a power guy. He was a powerhouse, but he knew how to move in the ring.
Well, he definitely knew how to work the crowd.
He
definitely knew how to work the crowd.
Yeah,
Macho Man. It was amazing. It was amazing when you used to see him in the ring, like the attitude, that craziness as a champion. You know what I mean? And an Intercontinental Champion. Great Intercontinental Champion.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about that later on before the show is ended, talking about that Intercontinental Championship match. You also mentioned that when it comes to another World Heavyweight Champion, you have none other than the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. 16-time champion. 16-time.
Does he hold the record for most?
Yes, he does. And John Cena's tied with him. Mm-hmm. John Cena's tied with him. A lot of people said that John Cena should have won the title to break his record. I'm not sure. I don't know how that goes.
I mean, I think he should, but like, I think he shouldn't because there should only be room for one record holder that has that many titles, and I think the perfect person to give it to was Ric Flair. They don't call him the dirtiest player in the game.
Absolutely not.
So of course, Ric Flair should have. Ric Flair should have kept that streak, or he should have kept that streak.
He should keep the title reign as it goes. Now Brian says Savage was one of the best champions. What's crazy is what we saw when Macho Man Randy Savage was the same way Randy Paffa was. He was always his character. He was great. Exactly. That's what made the Macho Man so unique.
Yes.
That craziness, that attitude, that, like I say, oh yeah, just the voice alone made him this impeccable superstar. And that's what Hulk Hogan brought him in to Vince McMahon and said, listen, I got somebody for you. The Macho Man Randy Savage, he can do it all. We got Luis Rosado saying that WWE just fired some good Yep, they should. We just spoke about that in the beginning of the show. They fired great superstars because they didn't know how to use them. And that's the problem with the WWE. They hire new talent, but at the end, WWE is not the same from the 80s, 90s, and the mid 2000s. Absolutely not. Where they had a great storyline writers with great imagination to build a story around even the dumbest superstars. Absolutely. That's what happened. And you're absolutely right. And Christopher Brown says, that's the problem, Luis Rosado. That's what happens when you hire Days of Our Lives rejects who have no knowledge or respect for the wrestling industry or the history let Heyman provide more input, or guys who've actually been in the ring quit relying on Hollywood outsiders. Absolutely. That's where the problem lies. You got guys. I was surprised when they let Rusev go.
Rusev was a good wrestler. Rusev was underrated. They
used him the wrong way.
They used him the wrong way.
Like that was just dumb.
No one.
You released Lilo Rush after you just bought him back. What are you doing? What is it that you're doing with these people? Sarah Logan, Logan, you fire her. She was an excellent wrestler too. I don't understand. This is what I'm saying. Half that people on the list could have been at least something, Intercontinental Tag Team, whatever. But, as always, WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, it's always cleanup time. They got to let people go. You know what I mean? They got to lose talent.
They let a little too many people go.
Well, with this COVID, that's the thing with COVID-19, they're losing money.
But then how come they just don't postpone it?
Because because it's $1 billion company, Jaden. Okay. They need to stay in business. This is professional wrestling.
Yes, you do.
Especially now that Florida made them essential workers, so they have to work. So, but anyway, back on topic.
Yes.
Ultimate Warrior. Best or worst? He won the title from Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6.
I can't really say he's the best, but I'm not gonna say he was the worst either because once you hear his music, the crowd he knew how to hype the crowd up. Mm-hmm. Once you hear that music, that's when it's time.
Oh yeah, you running down that aisle I'm pumped.
He's serious.
See, even Brian said it. Mike Chioda, the man was there for 25 years, and they fired him.
He was sick. He was serious about his business. But I think he was a little sloppy in the ring.
Oh, Ultimate Warrior was definitely sloppy in the ring.
Yeah, he was.
God rest his soul. The man was a beast. He's a Hall of Famer, but he was unprofessional in the ring. He was unprofessional backstage. In my opinion, he was a bad champion. He was not a good champion. Hulk Hogan did put him over.
I'm glad
at WrestleMania 6.
They did,
but he did not carry the ball the way he needed to.
I'm glad he did win the title, but I think they kept the title on him a little more than I thought
that he was supposed to have.
Exactly.
But I think that was the key. Let Sergeant Slaughter win it at the Royal Rumble, and then Hulk Hogan come at WrestleMania 7 with the war going on, and have him win it again.
That's probably what was
Stephen Bryan said Ultimate Warrior was a maniac, but sloppy wrestler. He hurts a lot of guys, absolutely. And we saw the stories. We heard everything. We heard what was going on. How many times this man, Andre the Giant, literally punched him in the face
Oh.
because he
Oh goodness.
he literally like kept telling him because Andre the Giant had this pattern that he would tangle himself on the ropes. Ultimate Warrior was gonna do it, but little did he know, Ultimate Warrior was going too fast for the clothesline, and Andre the Giant just stuck his fist out there. Boom, hit him in the face, right in between the eyes.
Oh man.
He had enough of him. Christopher Brown says Ultimate Warrior was Goldberg before there was a Goldberg, in the sense he was unsafe in the ring. I kind of agree with you with that in some sense. You know, Goldberg is a beast.
Goldberg was a little sloppy.
He was definitely sloppy. Goldberg's definitely sloppy in the ring, but I think that when it comes to Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg, you know, these two champions, and you mentioned Goldberg. Goldberg is also on this list as a World Heavyweight Champion. Mm-hmm. The man he had an undefeated streak. You know, he won the United States title, whatever. Had a great spear, but I wouldn't really compare him to Warrior and Goldberg. You know, Goldberg, yes, he enjoyed the business at some point.
I think
Ultimate Warrior was all about money and, you know, holding Vince McMahon ransom for X amount of dollars at SummerSlam. It was just crazy. You know, listen, I enjoyed the Ultimate Warrior. God rest his soul. Man, he's not here anymore. But I think he wasn't that talented in the ring.
I feel like they had talented wise, yes, but I feel like him, Goldberg, and Warrior had similar wrestling styles. If you really pay attention to it, yeah, they don't have the exact same wrestling styles. You know, Goldberg with the spear and his jackhammer, all that stuff, and you know, Ultimate Warrior with that bench press throw, all that clothesline and crap like that. They have similar wrestling styles because they're both sloppy. No, not taking anything away from them because they're both good wrestlers, but you know, they're both sloppy in the ring. But you know, at the end of the day, they're still both good titles. Well, I feel like Ultimate Warrior, you know, he was sloppy and he wasn't too good of a champion. But Goldberg, I think they gave him the title long enough.
Yeah, no, they did.
They gave him the title.
He was a phenom in WCW. He was a phenom in WCW. He was undefeated. He beat Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan pretty much passed the torch over to Goldberg in Monday Night Raw.
Right.
He came to WWE. He thought he was going to do the same thing in WWE, but no, you had stars like The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H. You wasn't going to do that. I'm sorry. He was a pretty decent champion in WWE, but you can't compare the Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg. That's no comparison. What you can say for Goldberg
is that they gave it to him at the right time, and then they took it away from him at the right time. So I think Goldberg.
See, Anthony says there's no real move set on either. Absolutely, it's not.
Right.
You know, and Nitro, not Raw. Yep, on Nitro. There you go. I'm sorry. He's absolutely right. It was on Monday Nitro that Hulk Hogan lost to Goldberg, and pretty much Hulk Hogan passed the torch over to Goldberg. You know, John Cena. Best or worst?
Man, John Cena is one of the best title holders. Not just because he's one of my favorite wrestlers, but John Cena was an amazing title. He took on the likes of JBL, CM Punk, The Miz, Randy Orton, Triple H, and the list goes on and on. He's taking on many people, and we all can't forget about... My favorite part about John Cena winning the title is when he picked up Big Show and Edge and gave him an attitude adjustment to win the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. That's what it was known as at the time, the World Heavyweight Champion. So John Cena was a great wrestler. You know, he, as we said earlier, he is tied with Ric Flair for winning the most titles. So I think John Cena paved the way for this company, like in general. Like I think without John Cena, there wouldn't be this generation that we all know now.
Do you see? Anthony says big match. John had a lot of big matches.
Yes, he did.
A lot of big matches. He fought against JBL, which is also was a great superstar.
That was amazing.
You had he fought the likes of Umaga, the late Umaga. He fought Batista. He fought
all the greats, Randy Orton,
Undertaker. Well, Undertaker kicked his ass, so you know it's he won.
That was an upcoming match.
He fought against AJ Styles. You know, he fought against many of the greats.
People, yes.
You know, but I think it's time for John Cena to give it up.
Yeah,
though. You know, that Firefly Funhouse was great.
It was a good match,
but
you know,
I think to me he needs to retire. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh man. man, Stone
Best
Cold,
of world champion.
Stone Cold was also an amazing champion.
So, the attitude. The
Attitude era.
Austin era
Yeah,
has
says it
begun in
itself.
1998
That's what I'm saying.
when he
The
became the
Austin era says
WWE
it
champion.
itself.
The man was a beast in the ring.
He was a beast.
You know,
was.
Anthony says when he wrestled technical wrestlers, John Cena was exposed. Of course, because the man cannot wrestle technical.
Yeah, no,
he was
John
not.
Cena.
He was not. No way,
John
shape,
Cena,
or form
yeah, no.
a technical wrestler.
He was not a technical wrestler.
He was a good champion. He was a
was.
powerhouse.
He was.
I still remember that day at WrestleMania 20. I think it was WrestleMania 25. The man literally picked up the Big Show and Edge at the same time on his shoulders. I still see that thing today.
He also picked up the Great Khali once too. I don't remember exactly when.
Brian says Austin was the best, hands down. There you go. He was an excellent champion. He carried. He's pretty much saved the WWE
He really did.
when the Attitude Era hit.
Yes.
And that's what many
Steve
people fail to
Austin
understand.
he was.
And Anthony says Kurt Angle will run circles around him. Of course, the man. He's another excellent champion.
Kurt Angle was a
He
good
was
champion.
he was a United States, a European champion, Intercontinental, WWE champion, World Heavyweight champion. The man got a Hall of Fame career, and he is a Hall of Fame.
Yes.
You know, so he deserves to be on this list as one of the best champions of all time. Luis Rosado said, "For me, the greatest superstar from whom was not given a long run as champion, The Undertaker." I was waiting for that name to come up,
me
and I
too.
think you just hit a spot because now my friend Brian is a huge Undertaker fan, and I know he's going to mention that. Anthony says, "Don't let me get started on Benoit." And he said, "Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels are the best to hold the belt in my era." Absolutely. In the 90s era, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were both great champions.
They were.
Shawn Michaels, they both fought each other at WrestleMania, an Iron Man match. It was amazing, you know, but Christopher Brown says, "Now McIntyre is positioned to do what Austin did in 1998. I hope so.
That would be awesome.
I hope so.
That would skyrocket WWE. That will give them a lot of views and probably more money for doing what they did to Stone Cold in 1998. That would be awesome.
Brian says Cena is a good motivating individual. He should have been a weightlifter. He put out a great message with the whole do not give up thing, but not a wrestler too stiff. Of course. The he's a beast when it comes to that wrestling.
I like it, you know, like the hustle, loyalty, respect, the motivation, but I preferred the John Cena as the Doctor of Thugonomics. That was my favorite John Cena, you know.
See, there you go. Brian just agreed with Luis Rosado. Absolutely. Undertaker did not have a long title reign, but he won the title numerous times. And I kind of figured that he didn't want to carry the title because, you know, he was already a phenom.
Right.
He had this streak at WrestleMania. Everybody knew who he was. He had a decade of destruction. He didn't want to have that belt to carry on his shoulders and be heavyweight champion.
Right.
That's why he lost it so short of time, because he wanted to do it.
And plus, he had a whole streak going on. He went like 20-0, but you know it got
ended by Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but he went 20-0 by not losing a match.
Pretty much.
Yeah, for a long time.
Christopher Brown says, "If you want to talk about worst champion, Lewis, how about R-Truth with the useless 24/7 title? Laughing out loud. I know it's a comedic, but it's such a waste of waste. Laughing out loud." I would have to agree with you in some sense, but
funny to watch.
It's funny to watch. You know what I mean? The man's entertaining. He people like him. People like him. He's the longest reigning superstar, oldest superstar in WWE right now. He helps the wrestlers in the back. You know what I mean? He does what he needs to do.
Yeah, he does.
And that's what makes him so good. You know what I mean? Anthony says 21-1. Well, he's actually 21-2. Yeah. Roman beat him and Brock beat him. Luis Rosado said it's not him being the worst. It's about him not giving a great storyline and role. Yep. See, Anthony says R-Truth is deserving. Yes, because he coaches these superstars. He does what he needs to do. He comes out with it. And that's what.
R-Truth has been in the business long enough to do that.
Now, here's one thing we can't forget about this, Jaden. The women.
Oh no!
The women, you know,
can't forget about that. So
That's Ric Flair's daughter.
if you're gonna expect that from Ric Flair, you can not at least expect that from Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is an amazing title holder. She has won the women's champion multiple times, and she has carried it amazing. Her character is amazing. Everything about her is amazing. She is a great wrestler. So I give 100% props to her for being such a good.
Oh, sorry about that, fans. We got a little small disconnection. We had Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus is another one that she came out and was one of the best women's champion of all time.
Right.
You know, she's a WWE Hall of Famer. You know, it's amazing how it happens. And Anthony says, let's talk about horrible women wrestlers. What about Tamina? I think she should have been cut years ago. Well, she is the daughter of Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Yeah. You know, they pretty much should have used her a better way.
They should have used her like they used her father, basically.
You know, well...
They kind of did, but, you know, I think they gave her the title.
Jimmy Snuka will always be remembered as the Superfly. Mm-hmm. You know, the man would...
Jumped off of
a steel cage, 15-foot high steel cage.
Splash. It wasn't just a regular, you know, jump or like an elbow drop. He would land flat on
like
you.
Body on you, like straight body. Yeah. That's 200 and some odd pounds landed on you, man.
Yes.
And Luis Rosado says Jazz for me was one of the worst. Yes, she was one of the worst champions of all time. She did not carry the championship a good way. You know, she didn't defend it the best way she could. One person in particular that was a hell of a champion, Asuka.
Oh, yeah.
She passed Goldberg's undefeated streak. She left undefeated from NXT as the women's NXT champion. So it was amazing to see how that came about when it comes to the women's division.
Right.
Now, when you talk about also the women's division, the women's division would have never started if it wasn't for the Fabulous Moolah.
Oh, yeah.
Fabulous Moolah, 28-year champion.
Wow.
Anthony says, I have a question for the youngster next to me. Give me your top 3 wrestlers and give me your top 3 wrestling matches. Who? He looks like he wants to start off a wrestling trivia early, Jaden.
Okay. So my top 3 wrestlers would be... let's see here. My top 3 wrestlers would be Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and my last one would probably be. I gotta go with Triple H.
Triple H. Excellent picks. So
and my top 3 matches that I personally enjoy was Mankind versus The Undertaker in that brutal Hell in a Cell match, JBL versus John Cena in an I Quit match, and The Rock versus Mankind in an empty arena match.
Yep, that was a good match.
That was a
really good match. Now, Jaden, do you know who the Great Muta is?
I've heard of her.
No, not her. Not her. The Great Muta.
This is a man.
This is a man.
Oh, wait a minute.
One of the greatest Japanese superstars of all time. The man was a phenom in Japan as well as the United States when he wrestled in WCW. Excellent champion. One of the best champions of Japan of all time. You know what I mean? Luis Rosado says, good women's champion, Trish Stratus, Mickie James, and Lita. Lita, of course. Lita, WWE Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Lita.
That woman, she was a hell of a champion too. When she won the title from Trish Stratus and they main evented Monday Night Raw, it was unique to see something like that. When you see the women for the first time main eventing an actual event, right, either Monday Night Raw or WrestleMania. You know, another champion that came up, Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
Randy Orton was a hell of a champion. He was a good Intercontinental champion. He was a good WWE champion. The youngest world heavyweight champion. Exactly. He did what he needed to do.
Yes.
Brian said, I'd be scared to be standing on the opposite side of the ring against the Great Muta. Exactly.
So
he knows who the Great Muta is. The Great Muta was a phenomenal superstar. I still love watching his matches.
Wow.
Like, it was amazing. He fought against Hulk Hogan. He fought against Antonio Inoki. Barry Windham, Ric Flair, Masahiro Chono. Tatsumi Fujinami. The man, the list goes on and
A
on.
lot of people.
The man's a superstar. He's an excellent superstar. And I wish if he would have been in the WWE, oh my God, the dream matches that we would have seen in that match, in that organization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Jaden, we're going to ask see, Brian says it. He's a legend in New Japan. He's a legend by far. Fans, we're going to ask you, before we close out the show, we're going to, make some announcements. Who is your best and worst champion in WWE history? Jaden, I'm going to start with you while they're thinking. Who was your best and worst champion?
My best champion was John Cena. I like John Cena as a champion, not just because he's tied with Ric Flair, but he carried the champion. He carried the titles the way they were supposed to be carried. He would never back down from a fight. He would never quit. Like, just hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up. All that crap. And he was right about that. He never gave up because he kept pushing no matter how many times he got knocked down, no matter how many times he got busted in the head with the chair or thrown through a table. He would just get right back up and try to fight. Now, my worst, I gotta go with Ultimate Warrior. No, you know what? No. Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Because I gotta go with Brock Lesnar. Because Brock Lesnar is by far the worst on this list. Because I just don't like him as a wrestler, and I just don't like him as a champion. He's not a good champion. He shows up for like 1 or 2 pay-per-views, and then he leaves for like another 3 months. And then no one sees him, no one knows what he's doing. He basically goes ghost until there's like a special pay-per-view, and then he just wins that in like 10 seconds.
See, we got Anthony that said his best is The Rock and his worst is the Great Khali. Yeah, Great Khali was he won the World Heavyweight title one time, and that was just that was just a disaster. I'm sorry. Brian says his best were CM Punk, Eddie Guerrero, and Triple H. He says the worst was Ultimate Warrior, Mick Foley, and Goldberg. The present Goldberg.
Yeah, the present Goldberg wasn't that good.
Luis Rosado says one of the worst was Gigante Gonzalez. El Gigante. Yeah, he was kind of similar to the Great Khali. I'm sorry. God rest his soul. Man, he was a nice guy. He was a good talent at some points, but, he just didn't make it to that championship caliber. Christopher Brown says best champion is The Rock because of all the casual fans he brought into the business, who became diehards, and the worst is either Lesnar because he's selfish, egotistic. I agree.
I absolutely
Brock
agree.
Lesnar
I
by
100%
far
agree with
is
you.
the worst heavyweight
You
champion
can
of
say that
all
again.
time.
I absolutely agree with you on that. Brock Lesnar was not a great champion.
He was not a
And I
great
will forever
champion.
in
He
my
was
mind
not a
think
great
that.
champion.
He was
I'm
not.
sorry.
He still isn't to this day.
No,
Whenever they give
I'm
him a
sorry.
title,
That
he's not-
Suplex City crap is
No.
not working for me.
No.
Like you can't. Like you
really
need
can't,
to.
no.
You're in the wrestling industry. You have to get
Everything is not about suplexes and an F5 and then that's
no.
it. It's not how people do things.
Roman Reigns,
Oh, Roman Reigns.
best or worst?
I mean, I get it. He got the World Heavyweight title and he got the Intercontinental title. But I think he could have done better. I'm not gonna say he was a bad champion.
Well, he's still young. He's still young. He's still got his life ahead of him.
That's what I'm saying.
He
That's what I'm
can
saying.
still
I'm not
do it
gonna-
up.
that's
You know what I
I'm
mean?
saying.
He can
I'm not
still
gonna
go
say
at
that
it.
He's a bad champion because he did carry the champion well. He carried the champion, the right way, the way that the company would probably like him to carry the champion. But I think they did let go of the champion a little too early for him because he was still getting up there, and if he would have had the champion a little longer, I think Roman Reigns would have had more of a pop than he already does now, because Roman Reigns is really popular now, the big dog, all that stuff. But I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't think he's like at the top, like where all the legends are.
Well-
but I still think he's a good wrestler.
Well, Brian says Roman is in the middle with me.
Yeah,
but his
I
mic
agree.
skills suck
He-
though.
yeah,
And it does.
they
I'm sorry,
do.
the man can't cut a
He can't.
decent
No,
promo
he cannot.
for the life of him. I think the best promo he ever had was that actual shoot he had with John Cena. That they just tore each other up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? John Cena pretty much chewed him up and said, you a full timer, and it's a shame I got to come back as a part timer to do what you can't do.
John Cena has good mics.
So there's one more guy I'm going to mention that Brian, you know who he is. Christopher Brown, you know who he is. Jaden, you don't know who he is, but I'm just gonna say it. Bruno Sammartino, the living legend, greatest superstar, longest reigning WWE champion of all time. Him, as well as guys like Bob Backlund, Bret Hart, Sting, WCW champion, Dusty Rhodes, Big Van Vader, Ricky Steamboat. The list goes on and on. All legends were greatest champions.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You also had Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, Edge, Triple H. You know what I mean? It was amazing. There's a lot of people that were in there. You know, Fabulous Moolah, Lita, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch. You keep going.
Right.
Christopher Brown says Suplex City is just a slogan to sell merch in the line Lesnar pockets. It does nothing for anyone in the ring. If we refer to Cena's 5 moves of doom, what we were to refer to Lesnar's 2 moves as the 2 moves of BS. Yep. Rosado says another of the greats, but wasn't given the real chance. The Big Boss Man. Well, Big Boss Man was okay. He wasn't the best.
I think he had a little.
He is a Hall of Famer. You know, he is a Hall of Famer. He did a lot for the business. He did what he needed to do. See, even Brian said it. Bruno was the man. Living legend Bruno Sammartino. Before there was a Hulk Hogan, before there was a Stone Cold, there was Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, so he was way before.
He was way before Hulk Hogan. He carried the company on his shoulders for many, many years. And you had guys like him. You also had a guy, I don't even have him on this list, but Pedro Morales, first ever Puerto Rican Triple Crown champion in the WWE. Another one, famous Hall of Famer. Christopher Brown says, Lewis, I watched a classic Flair match earlier today. Him and Harley Race. Oh, absolutely. Starrcade 83 with Flair and Harley Race, 2 of the greatest superstars of all time. All great champions. These are old school guys, Jay. I'm sorry. I know you're looking confused right now. Carlos, your buddy's here. He says Shawn Michaels suck. Well, fans, we're actually, our time is up with this topic, but we're going to continue with a little discussion that we're going to be talking about. As you know, Brian, as many of you know, Brian, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Jaden.
Just give a name, bro.
I'm sorry. I mean, he's talking about me. He's talking about you too. This past Monday, we had the first ever interactive Evolution of Pro Wrestling watch party.
Yes.
Ricky Steamboat against the Macho Man Randy Savage. This is why we were going to talk about more about Macho Man towards the end of the show. Greatest match of all time, in my opinion, in any WrestleMania. WrestleMania 3. He actually, my son actually saw the match.
I enjoyed the match.
Enjoyed the match, really, and it was just superb. Like
coming
the two in-ring generals that it was just amazing.
Yeah, those guys
so
did it up.
We have decided we were giving guys to choose their match of which watch party they want to see, but we feel that since Undertaker and Mankind, Hell in a Cell, and King of the Ring came in second, we are going to air that match in the watch party Monday night at 8 o'clock.
Yep.
And we're going to have another interactive discussion on chat watching this match in its entirety. Also, we made an announcement again this week, fans. We just keep stirring it up. Evolution of Pro Wrestling Trivia. Do you got what it takes to answer a trivia? Do you got what it takes to answer the questions? Are you a true fan of professional wrestling? Do you know the answers? Do you know the answers? What we're going to tell you. Like Roddy Piper says, just when they got the answers, I changed the questions. All these questions are going to be of everything. They're going to be of Royal Rumbles, WrestleManias, Summers, anything you can name of. And I'm talking about WCW, ECW, WWE, NWA, New Japan. It's just going to keep going. And it's like, what question am I going to ask? And here's the kicker. We would appreciate it if you do not use Google as an answer. If you are a fan, you need to know. Because listen, we even put a twist to it. You guys can ask us questions, you know, and we're gonna get it. We don't know if we're gonna get it right or wrong.
Of course, you're gonna get it right. You know a lot about.
No,
wrestling.
I know a lot about wrestling, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Christopher Brown says, you know, I'll be there for the trivia, Lewis, laughing out loud. Of course, definitely. He's one of our biggest fans here. He and Brian and a couple other people. You know, we're excited to do this trivia, to connect more with the fans, with everything that's going on. You know, it's going to be amazing to go through this trivia with you guys. And and here's the kicker to it. We're working on a program to start adding some guests to the show. As we go along with the trivia, we're doing a trivia once a month. That's our new thing now, a trivia episode every single month. Whoever answers the most questions at the end of each trivia episode, they will be invited in the future when we get everything situated to be a guest host on Evolution of Pro Wrestling with us. And you guys can name the topic if you want, or we can discuss the topic. But we are super excited for this trivia.
Yes.
So, and fans, also, I want to thank many groups out there that were sending stuff. We've had a few posts that we put up of Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, Bruiser Brody, Great Muta, and Antonio Inoki. You know, a lot of posts out there, and a lot of people have commented on these posts. So it's amazing how the wrestling world can come together and just have a discussion over Facebook over professional wrestling. And I'm excited as a fan.
Me too.
So hope you guys are ready. May 1st, Evolution of Pro Wrestling Trivia. You're not going to want to miss it. This upcoming Monday, Undertaker against Mankind in Hell in a Cell, King of the Ring on our watch party, 8 o'clock sharp Monday night. Please, fans, always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. If you have any questions or concerns, please email us at evolutionofprowrestling@gmail.com. Carlos says, hey kid, you know who is Bob Swinton? I don't know who's that. I don't know who he's talking about.
I don't either.
But yes, fans, please also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Evolution of Pro Wrestling. Please feel free to share our content today, to have other fans watching, have other fans talking about this topic. And if they want to join into the trivia, by all means, we will continue to post about the trivia. We will continue to post topic of discussions so we can continue with it, and the watch party every Monday night at 8 o'clock. From myself, Lewis, from my co-host, Jaden, and from my producer and director, Yesenia, my wife, thank you for joining us, fans. We will see you interactively on Monday. Take care, fans.